Hey everybody, I'm Jack with Future Pastimes. I'm a designer on Dune-themed games and expansions, and in this video I wanted to talk about one of the new Treachery cards that shows up in Expansion 3 for the classic Dune board game. That is the Ecaz and Moritani expansion, and that card is called Recruits. And I want to talk about what Recruits does and why it was designed. And when I was working on this expansion, I always am listening to what fans out in the Dunesphere are talking about. And a lot of people had mentioned how they wished that there was another Tleilaxu card that lets you get some more forces out of the tanks or revive a leader. And I've certainly been in situations where I wished that there was another one. I was like, I hope, I'm trying to buy a card, I hope I get it, and then somebody else plays it, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm not going to see that card again in this game. But I didn't want to just add another Tleilaxu card, so I was looking for an effect that would be in the same neighborhood, but still different and unique. And so I came up with the idea for Recruit. So let's take a look at what it does, and we'll talk a little bit more about the design. So it is played during Revival, and what it does is all factions double their current free revival rates. The normal revival limit is increased to 7, discard after use. So whereas Tleilaxu only helps the player who plays it, Recruits is going to potentially help everyone, and part of the allure of the card is trying to figure out when's a good time to play it. Now, with cards like these, the special cards with the green border, often players are keen to play them as quickly as possible so that they can get them out of their hands and make room for weapons and defenses. But I've certainly been in some games now where I've seen somebody has held on to this because they knew it was going to be helping other factions more than it was going to help them. So they wanted to wait at least another turn, get into some more battles, and if things didn't go their way or they had to dial a lot, they knew that they're going to be able to at least get a few extra forces out of those tanks for free. So that is good, and it helps the different factions differently, of course. So for the Fremen playing Recruits, that is 6 forces that they're getting out for free, which is pretty amazing for the Fremen. If they've got this card, they know that they can go into some battles that turn with reckless abandon. Somebody like the Emperor or the Guild, the Bene Gesserit, they're only going to get 2 more forces out for free. It's still better than none. The increased revival rate to 7 is also a big deal too, because that can have a huge effect on factions that do have the spice. So Emperor, Guild, and that's basically it. The Tleilaxu have no limits, and Chom can always revive all of theirs if they can pay the spice for it. But the fact that the Emperor can also pay to revive 3 additional forces of their ally above the limits means that they could get 10 of their forces out, the Emperor's ally, and the Emperor can, of course, pay for all of that if they want to, because they can just give the spice to their ally, who then, in turn, pays for it. Paying for your allies' revivals is not something any of the other factions can do, other than Tleilaxu. Something that's interesting to point out here is the wording where it says all factions double their current free revival rates. So if you're playing with homeworlds, you may know that when a homeworld is at low threshold, or faction has flipped their card over to the low threshold side, you increase your free revival by 1. So that means that the Fremen, for example, at low threshold with homeworlds in the game, their free revival is 4. And that means that when that is doubled, it goes to 8. Of course, the limit is still 7. So they're getting 7 out for free, which is pretty nice. But that is not going to be changed by having the Tleilaxu in the game. So normally the Tleilaxu can raise the rate to 5. This kind of overrides that. It raises it to 7. And the Tleilaxu can't stop that either. But they can't increase it beyond 7. They can't say, well, we can increase it to 9 because normally we can increase it by 2 more. That's not how it works. It's not increase the free revival rate by 2, it's increase it to 5. So just so people understand that that's how that works as well. So Recruits, it's a nice way to come back from a terrible couple of losses, or one really horrible loss in the previous turn or in turns past, so that you can try to get back into the game. And that's kind of really what I was going at. And that's what I think the people asking for another Tleilaxu Gola card were trying to get back into the game and not feel like, I lost so many of my forces. It's just pretty hopeless for me. And if the game, I'm just going to be limping along for 2, maybe 3 turns, hoping the game doesn't end or praying that it does end. So I feel like this, it's not necessarily a drastic effect, although it's nice for, Atreides and Harkonnen, for example, getting 4 out for free, and then they could pay for 3 more if they've got the spice for it. So that, I think, is just about the right amount of forces to be able to feel like, okay, I'm down, but I'm not out. So there you have it. That's one of the 3 new Treachery cards from Expansion 3, which, when combined with the 14 from Expansion 1, brings your Treachery deck up to 50. Of course, that's not counting the 10 that the Riches have, but they don't start in the Treachery deck. They are added to the game, and then they go into the discard pile, and then they may eventually get reshuffled to form a new Treachery deck. But 50, I think, is a good number. Will there be more? If there are, it'll be something wacky and different like Riches, and you'll just have to wait and see if that happens. That's it for this one. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you again soon.